Hello, dear friends. It's cold outside and someone is probably mowing somewhere. But all that is irrelevant because a seemingly very sweet guy called Patrick thinks atheists rely on dumb, blind luck with not believing in gods, which he seems to think fits since atheists are apparently both dumb and blind. Don't be fooled by the nice guy presentation here. This guy is a bit of a prick. Hello, I'm the Skeptic, the British floating circle that watches people make extraordinary claims, and then I explain why I don't accept what they're saying. Why is it always the sweet old guys that are the most scathing when it comes to atheists? Patrick Peace seems less than peaceful when people don't believe in his sky fairy, going so far as to calling atheists disgusting cockroaches that scatter when the light's turned on, evil, and easily led by Satan. Who wants to tell him we don't believe in that dude either? Paddy has one thing he always says to atheists. Maybe to make himself feel better, or maybe something that could make any atheist stop and question their position. So, before we find out if Pat has the ultimate phrase to make atheists change their convincedness, if this isn't your first Skeptic video, hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell, and maybe the algorithm will change what it shows you. And a super thanks to those that hit super thanks in some recent videos. James Fletcher, Kevin, Eric Mishima, B. Velke, and Beans Marcus. Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe bestows leaves upon you all. More hen. Good luck with your video, Patrick.
Hello, dear friends. How are you doing today? Monday, October 22nd, 2024. It's about 20 degrees Celsius, pushing 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It is just an amazing, beautiful, beautiful fall day. It's like summer, and not a cloud in the sky. Sorry for the loud noise in the background. Someone's doing some mowing, because they figure it's summertime to do some mowing, I guess.
Now, my intro makes way more sense.
I thought I would put together a short video for you, mostly in response to this gentleman by the name of LGPI314. Pi314, very clever. He knows the first three digits of pi. And LG, probably his initials or something else, whatever. And so, just like most... I've had hundreds of comments over the past year or two, or past months, from atheists, and 99% of them are anonymous. This is something you'll find about atheists. They want to remain anonymous. They want to remain hidden, right? And it goes along with the overall character, I would say, of atheists, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So,
well, many folks probably are worried about being found out to be atheists, since in many countries around the world, being atheist is looked down upon. So can you blame them? Or in some cases, folks really are British floating circles that occasionally take on a meat form.
As most anonymous trolls are, they want to try and trigger you, and they want to try and be a nuisance of themselves, and they're very good at doing that. But I wanted to mention, I already made a video in the past about the different types of atheists, and so I'm going to briefly go over those as well, but I'm going to cut straight to the chase. The easiest response, I believe, for atheists is to say, good luck with your atheism. And if you've seen some of my responses in the past, that's a response that I very often reply with.
I can make this really easy for you, Pat. There are two ways to use atheist. One, a person that isn't convinced of a god or gods is an atheist. Two, a person that is convinced of a god or gods is not an atheist. Easy.
Atheists, you really cannot change their mind. They have this psychological need to have this kind of secret knowledge, that they're smarter than everybody else, and they have all these reasons why that they don't believe in God and all that kind of stuff. The bulk of atheists out there are in particularly atheists towards the Christian God.
No, mate. I'm equally as unconvinced of the Hindu gods, the Muslim god, the Greek gods, Norse, all of them. Is someone feeling a little attacked because your God is equally as unbelievable as those ones?
Right? And this is common across the spectrum. If you look at Richard Dawkins' writings, 99% of his argument is against the Christian God. Now, there was an exception with Christopher Hitchens. I read his book, God is Not Great, and he wasn't as afraid to come out against harshly towards Islam. That's very rare. Very, very rare. Probably mostly because they don't understand the Quran, or they've never read the Quran.
Have You read the Quran?
But be that as it may, most atheists are antagonistic towards the Christian God, and that shows, that reveals their bias in that direction, right? They say, oh no, I don't believe in any God, and all these other gods are fine. But really, when you listen to what they're saying, they hone right in on the Christian God, and they don't like that at all.
Hang on. If you were taking up for another god, then you'd hear how an atheist didn't accept that one. Are you okay, buddy?
And so there's many reasons for that. And so if you want to, most people don't get past the first minute or two of a video. And if you want to skip this, you're more than welcome, because that's the norm. And that is what I would recommend, is just say, good luck with your atheism. The reason why I say that is because atheists abandon the idea of any type of intervention by God, to be rescued by God, to be guided by God, to be encouraged by God, anything like that. And if you look at most of the stories of the Bible, they are stories of God intervening in the lives of humanity, different humans, right?
Abandon the hope of a god's intervention, so a god can't intervene unless an atheist lets it? Well, that's not a very powerful god now, is it? It's hardly omnipotent if it gets blocked by a pesky human.
God intervening, and he's rescuing somebody here, he's, giving somebody a hard time over here, he's talking to somebody here. Most of it is based, of course, on redemption. Sometimes it's based on killing people too, right? But for the most part, it is God giving victory to somebody that seeks him. That's mostly what the stories of the Bible are, whether it's Moses, David, you name it. Most of it is about God intervening in the life of a believer. Now, for the atheist, because that is not an option, what are they left with? They are left with random chance. They look at the universe as just this random thing that came to be out of nothing.
Random? I guess. Nothing? Absolutely not. Theists think everything came from nothing. Atheists don't believe in a god, but some of those that don't believe in a god accept that there was always something. Do you just want to misrepresent everything?
And they say, oh, well, your God came out of nothing. I think that was one of the arguments that this LG guy mentioned. Well, that's why Moses explained the origin of God, right? In the beginning, God.
I'm pretty sure there's zero historical evidence that Moses was a real person. I'm happy to be corrected on that, but so far, nada. If Moses wasn't real, why should we begin to accept the Bible? Jeez.
In the beginning, God always was. In Revelation, it says the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. God always is eternally existent. And of course, Christ came and explained more details of what God was like. So the atheists have a problem because all they believe in is the universe, and they admit that the universe had a beginning.
Of course I believe in the universe. The universe exists. And I also accept that there was a moment that we can observe that this area of the universe went pop. That doesn't necessarily mean beginning, but it does mean measurable from a moment.
No atheist says that the universe is ever present, that always was.
The universe is ever present. It always is. Oh, darn it, I messed that last bit up. But close enough, right? Do I now win a prize?
No, we're told the universe had a beginning, whether you believe in the Big Bang or what have you. If you have an expanding universe, it had to expand from a single point. And so the universe had a beginning, and they have no explanation for it. Whereas for the believer, God is eternally present. God always was, right? From our perspective, we can't even understand that.
Can't understand it, and yet you do a good job of acting like you do. And you don't even demonstrate it. You just say words.
But that's solves that problem. You say, well, that's a cop-out. So what? Too bad, so sad. Sorry you don't have the same escape.
Having an escape isn't proof.
But it is what it is, right? God is ever-present, always was, always will be. The beginning and the end, in all, through all, and everywhere.
Prove it.
Yeah, so because they're left with randomness and no intervention by God, they are dependent upon luck. It's just blind luck. That's all they're dependent upon. And so when I tell the atheist, good luck with your atheism, so I know I'm not going to change their mind. I know I'm not going to convert them, even though we're instructed as believers to share the good news. Say, hey, you know what? There is an option, right? If you put your trust in God and you reach out to him, you seek him, he'll draw close to you. That's what Scripture says. It says, draw close to to God and he will draw close to you. But they don't want any of that. So that's why they are dependent upon luck. And I say, well, good luck with that. Good luck with your atheism.
So it's believe in a God or depend on luck? What are you talking about, dude?
And that's it. That's how they're going to live their life, and they're happy with that. But the rest of it is trolling, right? The rest of it is trying to get a reaction out of you because they have, as I said, a psychological need to support their morality. They say, my morality is better than God's morality because God's a monster, and they go on and on and on about that. And so...
Go on and on and on and on about how the God you believe in killed an entire planet of people because it didn't like how they treated one another, that killed kids with bears, for calling a man bald, that ended a man's life because he didn't finish inside his brother's widow, that explains how to own and treat people as property. That moral being.
But there are many different reasons, so I'm briefly just going to go over, how am I doing for time? I just want to make a short video today. The different types of atheists that I've categorized, and I made a separate video about this, but I'll just briefly go over them. The first type is the scoffer, and you'll see that this guy, LG Pi 314, he's fitting into a number of these different categories. The scoffer.
Scoffer? Not me.
The demanders of evidence, the fairy tale atheist, that's the first three, 1, 2, and 3. The morally offended atheist, and the victim atheist, and then the honest atheist.
How can you get it so wrong? It's literally just about belief in a God.
Which is a very rare type of atheist. Honest atheist, he hates God, chooses to not believe in God, and chooses to go to hell. That's usually the characteristic of the honest atheist, who knows what he's doing, he knows there's a God, and he's forcing his mind not to believe in God through a conscious decision. That's the honest atheist. If more atheists were honest, like most atheists will say, oh, I have no awareness of God at all, Mind you, every statement they make is attacking God or attacking Christians in particular, attacking believers in God, trying to show themselves as smarter than people that believe in God, and on and on and on.
Wrong. Some theists are convinced of gods but deny them. Atheists don't believe that there is a God. I don't think anyone really is this stupid. Maybe he's trolling.
Now, we've added a seventh category as well, and that is the evangelizing atheist. And that is probably the one that Richard Dawkins fits into. Don't forget, Richard Dawkins' book, Outgrowing God, is targeted at children.
Aren't all fairy tales targeted at children? It's just some children grow into adults that still accept that rubbish.
Richard Dawkins, the most evil man alive today, I believe, single-handedly pretty much destroyed the faith of the country of England, the UK, right? And the UK is now a Muslim country.
Hello, British person here. I can tell you that it's at least 50% atheist in the UK. Sorry, but you're just wrong there. And having folks of different faiths being in positions of power doesn't make the country that faith. I had high hopes for you, Pat, but you're just letting me down.
Achieved by only 6% of the population. And every single mayor in the UK today is Muslim.
Every single mayor? Mate, you need to think before you speak. There are a few, sure, but... Oh man, my brain just shut down from the stupidity of this dude. And he has the audacity to say that atheists are dumb.
90% of them anyway. And so that country has been taken over. See, if you make a void, if you get rid of the Christian God, the Muslim God, which is an Abrahamic religion, same as Jews, Christians, Muslims, they're all trying to worship the same God, comes right in.
No, it doesn't, because 1, there are plenty of countries that have no religion, and 2, the Abrahamic gods don't exist. The only one that does have a chance of swooping in to fill a god void is Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, leaf be upon her, because she is totally more real than the Abrahamic gods. It says so in the book of Lisa.
And the Muslims are much more effective because they are more cohesive than the fragmented Christian denominations. Even though Muslims do have a couple of different denominations, most Muslims are nominal. They're Muslims because their parents are Muslim, or because they're like Catholic, nominal. They go to the mosque once a week, or twice a year or however often they're supposed to go, and they don't give it a whole heck of a lot of thought.
Didn't you just describe how most people are Christian too? How is it that they see how it works in other religions but just ignore that it happens with theirs because theirs is right?
But the media portrays it as this, they focus on the zealots, just like they do for Christian zealots as well. The media likes to exaggerate the extremes of any religion, for that matter. So anyhow, that is the most evil type of person is the atheist that goes out and wants to destroy the faith of others. This is what Satan did in the Bible, right? He destroyed.
Didn't you just say that atheists are going to hell? Why is that okay? But not saying that your beliefs are silly.
The perfection of humanity, or the state that humanity was in prior to the fall, when he appeared to Adam and Eve, whether it's allegory or literal, take your pick, doesn't matter, right? The story is meant for our...
No, it does matter, because there are fools out there that accept it as literal and try to control what others do because of what they believe.
Giving us understanding of how things work in the spirit realm. And so God came to Adam and Eve and said, God didn't really say this, right? Do this, and it's going to be better for you. And so God deceived humanity into relying on their own knowledge, relying on their own ideas, their own logic, and their own reasoning. And this is what atheists do today. They rely on themselves. They say, oh no, this is a fallacy, and that's a fallacy, and they have all these philosophical terms that they like to throw around, and they rely on their own reasoning, and in their professing to be wise, they've become fools, right? They've chosen a lie over the truth of God. They've exchanged the truth that's revealed in Scripture for the lies of Satan.
What I heard was atheists think for themselves instead of letting something else do it for them, and that's the work of Satan, who also doesn't exist. Why do people think that saying things with confidence makes them right? He better not bust out the fool's hearts line.
And that is what the evangelizing atheist wants to do. He goes around saying, God's not really real, don't believe in God. And especially they target children. And that's exactly what Richard Dawkins did with this book, Outgrowing God, that is targeted at children. And you can see how blatant and how similar his arguments are to the lies of Lucifer in the Bible, both in Genesis and also during the temptation of Christ, when he came up with 3 different methods to try and convince Jesus to abandon dependence upon God. And he's still doing it today. So, oh, thank goodness, that guy finally finished mowing his lawn. I wish I would have waited to start this video. Sorry about that, because he had this droning on in the background, just like atheists do, right? They do the same thing. They drone on and on and on. They repeat the same arguments over and over again. And every time they give an argument, they're pointing the finger at themselves, because they're saying they have an itch they can't scratch.
Funny. I was about to say the same about you, Pat. Projection, Your Honor.
And now, even today, we have a new type of atheist, which you could call the Christian atheist. There's Christians that are coming out and saying, well, God is like a construct, and we have to, you can start to identify them. They're becoming quite clear. Usually they have derangement syndrome. They use words like, we have to care for the marginalized, and we have to lay our lives down, and we have to love all the immigrants at all costs. That's a very big thing, right? They're saying my morality is better than and they're starting to actually hate Christians.
And this, folks, is the best way of demonstrating you're a racist POS.
Christians that may have any kind of patriotism, or they may have any kind of literal interpretation of the Bible. These new modern Christians hate that, right? They want to, because basically at heart they are envious of the morality of the world, right? They are usually they're queer, and they are so envious of this new morality. They say, oh, well, these people accept me, then I want to adopt their morality.
Anti-LGBTQ too? Man, I'd hate for folks to find the link in the description and tell you what a terrible human being you are.
I want to be a social justice warrior. God is really just the concept of love. There's no judgment in God. There is no hatred of evil in God. God is all loving, so there's no room for hate at all. The word hate is not in their vocabulary because they're above that, right? Meanwhile, David said, "Oh God, don't I hate those who hate you? I hate them with a perfect hatred."
And thus was born the saying, "Ain't no hate like Christian love." It's a shame I don't give a flying monkeys about what the Bible says. And maybe I'll finish there, since he starts then attacking Christians that don't believe in the same way. To be honest, he doesn't deserve any more of our time, but there's another 10 minutes of his video. If you want to go and see it, it's in the description. Patrick didn't explain why atheists are dumb. He just got a whole lot wrong and projected a ton and added in a bit of whinging, which is pretty much what they all do. Great job, Patrick. The only person you made look a bit dim was you. Though you may disagree and think Patrick did a good job of pointing out how dumb atheists are. Let me know in the section below. I'm going to skeptic this as possibly the worst interpretation of what atheists are. A big thank you to this month's top level ticks on Patreon: Dark Ether Piao, Tamo, The Barely Bearable Atheist, George, Godless Granny, Addy Rockhart, The Enixes, Jakari, Elizabeth, Whiskey Tech Fred and Rick, as well as all the $3 base ticks. You can become a supporter on Patreon too at patreon.com/theskeptic. The link is in the description, along with links to all my other socials. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the Skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.